Immorality, anti-Semitism, and replacement theology have rendered much of Christianity as unbiblical, mystic, and on the road to extinction. Welcome to the Heartland Connection, where we equip Christians to walk in the truth of God's Word, to support the land and people of Israel, and to stand boldly in their Abrahamic faith. I have personally learned so much about God and His Word from our Jewish friends here in Israel. I'm honored to have my good Orthodox Jewish friend joining me here on the program every week. Rabbi Yonadav Zar will be sharing great insights into the Torah from a Jewish perspective. So welcome, Rabbi Yonadav Zar.
Shalom.
All right, so today's Torah portion is, Parashat VaYishlach, which means, and he sent. So it's really incredible Torah portion we have this week. I'm really looking forward to jumping in here. Right off the bat here, we have this really intriguing story of Yakov as he's going to meet his brother Esau, and they cross over the river. There's this really amazing story. He's with his family and with his flocks and his herds, and then all of a sudden, we have this man, it says in one part, and then an angel. In another part, it says that he's wrestling with this angel person. And we know the story well. He's wrestling, and then he touches his thigh. There's this whole dramatic story, and Yaakov says, will you bless me, and all these things. And so I wanted to ask you, Rabbi Yonadav, what is this story all about? Why was this angel wrestling with Yaakov?
Okay. First of all, I want to say about that portion, it shows a lot of difficulties. A lot of complexity. It's not easy to get your way in this world. You have great ideas. You have great vision, and the world is very complex. It's not easy to go through. So you talk about the three challenge to fight the angel. What the angel wanted from Jacob. Mm-hmm. Seemed that he wanted to tell Jacob that he's not complete. And the angel expect him to be complete. So he hit him on his thigh, right? Mm-hmm. He says, your legs are not stable. We can think about a lot of commentations about this say that his legs are not stable. We can think about what make Jacob stand. The legs in spiritual commentation. Who make him stand? Because he has great spiritual ideas, but you need a physical stand so you can establish your nation, so you can fulfill your ideas. So is your physical stand is stable enough? Sometimes the spiritual man think that he can dream about his ideas, but he forget that he needs someone, a practical man, to help him stand in this world. So he touched his leg, do you stable? We can take it to our people. Do you have physical or practical men, people, to stand, to stable your nation? You know, we need all the time, we need on one hand, the spiritual man, but on the other hand, the practical man. One who can help the spiritual man to handle this world with his great ideas. Someone need to take the ideas and fulfill them in the reality. This is like the legs to stand in this world. So maybe the angel asked Jacob, do you have stable legs? Or you are just fly in your dreams? And this question is not for Jacob himself only. It's a question to all the generations. You know, in the exile, we had great ideas, but no legs on earth. We were like parted, torn from our physical earth. So we can't fulfill our ideas. And now we came back to our land. We have to build our legs to be stable and strong so we can fulfill our ideas in the reality.
That's a really good point. I think definitely a lesson for us as Christians too, because for sure, throughout history, we've very much spiritualized things and said, oh, the Torah and most of the Bible, oh, it's very spiritual, and not realizing that these things were given to us in order to have a very tangible reality like that on the ground, like it's very much something that you can touch and feel. And I think it's affected our moral values, and it's affected so many different things within our culture. So I think this is a very, very important lesson for us, especially as Christians, to say, okay, yes, we need to be spiritual. We need to, learn about God and who He is, and have all the spiritual things and angels and whatever other spiritual realities. But we can't disconnect from the tangible reality that God wants His kingdom to be on earth as it is in heaven. He wants these things to come together, the spiritual and the physical coming together. So that's a really, really interesting point. I wouldn't have ever pulled that out from that story. So that's really, really, really very, very interesting. And I think definitely a lesson for the Christian world, for me and for us, to be able to remember that it's not only spiritual, there's also physical reality, and that we're seeing that happen right now in the land of Israel, that God is very spiritually working very physically in our world today. We're seeing the physical reality of very spiritual things happening right now in the land of Israel, as God is miraculously restoring things here and putting legs back on the faith and belief and of His vision of redemption for the world. So that's very, very, very powerful, very good. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so our next question here, as we continue on in the story, we have Jacob limping away from his experience with this angel. Things are really interesting now. Esau is coming toward him with 400 men. This looks like it could be really bad. Like it could be a really, really rough situation. Yaakov sends gifts forward to his brother to try to appease him, to make him peaceful, it seems like. And they're getting closer and closer. Yaakov is sending his family in front of him. And then Yaakov himself comes bowing down before his brother. Very, very interesting story. Rabbi Yonadav, what can we learn from this very dramatic meeting that Yaakov and Esau have in our Torah portion?
Okay, again, we have very complex situation. one can say, why did Jacob bend toward Esau? He is a righteous. He had to stand stable and say, God will help me, and I will stand, and God will help me to fight him and send him to his earth, to his land. But Jacob is arrange the meeting and prepare to the meeting and make a present to Esau and pray for God, to God. And so we have to understand, Jacob in this situation had to bend toward Esau, and it's problem to bend toward someone who is wicked. But and it was right to this situation, but he will pay the price in the future. Like we talked about when he stole the bless from Esau. Okay, he had to do that, but he will pay. There is price. Like now, he is put himself under Esau, but there is price. His descendants will be slaves of Rome, because you can't put yourself under the wicked and without price. That's so. Now he has to do it, because this is really danger to all his family, and it risks all the nation. But we had to work hard to fix it. So he has to come back to the land, and there are problems, and he has to solve them, but not always the solution is complete.
Wow, that's good. Very good. All right, so our next question coming up here, after this dramatic encounter there, God blesses Yaakov to have what seems like a fairly peaceful meeting. He goes on, he's able to move on into the land of Israel. And here we find Yaakov coming into Shechem, or Shechem, if I can do my best at saying it in Hebrew, which is really awesome because it's just right here, like literally where I'm sitting right now, where me and Rabbi Yonadav are. We are on the Mount of Blessing, Mount Gerizim, and Shechem is just right down the mountain from us right here. So Yaakov literally came just right here next to where we're sitting right now, which is really amazing to be here, right in this spot. But it says right here in this Torah portion that he came to this spot and he bought a parcel of land in Shechem, right here in this area. And then we have a little bit of a rough story here with Dina, going into the city of Shechem. And you guys know the story. Shimon and Levi, Simeon and Levi end up going in and destroying, killing all the people in the town. And then they end up leaving. Yaakov is angry with his boys, like, why did you do that? And they're like, well, these guys can't treat our sister like a harlot. And there's this conversation going on. So very traumatic, crazy story going on here. So Rabbi Yonadav, what can we learn from this story of Dina going into the city and then her brothers taking vengeance on the city? What can we learn from this really dramatic story?
Okay. First of all, you said Yaakov bought land here in Shechem. It's very important.
Yes.
Because we say that every step of Yaakov influenced his descendants. When he put himself under Esau, we have to fix it. It's influenced us. Like that, when he bought land here in Shechem, it influenced us. It opens the way for us to both lands here. We have a say of the wise man that 3 places the nations can't say that are stolen in our hands. It's the cave of Machpelah that Abraham bought from Ephron. It's Shechem that Yaakov bought from the people of Shechem. And the Temple Mount that David bought from Aravna. So it's very important. And now to talk about Dina and Shechem. We talked about the vision of Abraham to bring the bless to all the nations. It's so nice. It's so inspiring us to bring the bless to all the nations. And now, see the grandson of Abraham, how he has problems with the nations. Same nations that we want to bring the bless to them, same nations we have the problems with them. We can't say, oh, the nation that we talk about bringing bless to them, it's another nations. It's nations from Mars. No, those the nations here on the earth, in our world, with all the problems. So, of course, we have a principle that we treat the nation same way they treat us. So, if there are nations that loves us and support us, we have to be their friends, to show them a friendship. And if there are nations that fight us, so we have to fight them back. But all of the nations in our vision to bring the bless. And here, Yaakov meet one nation of Shechem, and they treat him very bad. And you can ask, what did he do that he treat us very bad? He loved Dina. That sounds very good. To love Jews, right? To love Israelites. He loved Dina. What's so wrong? No. There is a way. You should not marry Dina. You can love Israelites, but in another way. And of course, when he not only loved her and wanted to marry her, but also raped her, right. Of course, it's much worse. So now we have to confront it. We have to think what can we do with such behavior. So it's very difficult. We have on one hand to treat him like he has to accept, and on the other hand, not to forget our vision. So Yaakov did not think that he has to kill them all. he thought that, I don't know exactly what he thought to do, but we know that he did not think that his sons has to kill them all. And the sons, Shimon and Levi, thought that they were so wicked, so we should kill them all. It's very complex. So now we have such challenges. We have nations that loves us and wants to help us, and there are nations that want to fight us. And we have to find the right way for each nation. How can we get close one who wants to help us, and on the other hand, fight or educate or, I don't know, to behave with one who wants to fight us.
And we can definitely see that in modern day Israel, very much so, with, looking at Israel has a lot of enemies, but seeing how Israel tries so hard to gain peace by, trying, like you said, trying to educate or change the very bad education system that's in place, or whatever way it can do besides having to go and fight. I've definitely witnessed that being here, how Israel tries so hard, even going in and dropping leaflets telling people, hey, we're about to bomb in this area, get the innocent people away so we can, wage this war. Like, what other, army in the world would do something like that? But Israel is so careful and so much appreciates and loves life that they do these things. So that's kind of on a bigger level, but even on a personal level, I know for us coming in as people from the nations and realizing the history of horrible things that were done by Christians to the Jewish people. I know for me coming here and being able to be Rabbi Yonadav, your friend, here is just such a blessing to me, and really shows your willingness to forgive us and to say, okay, those people of the past that were really bad, obviously we had to protect ourselves from those people as much as we could, and we could not, you had to fight or do whatever you had to do in those situations, whatever you could. But in this situation where we have changed and we've repented from those ways, and we're coming back in and we're saying we want to bless Israel, we want to see the Jewish people thrive in the land of Israel, and we recognize that that's God's plan to bring redemption to the world through Israel, and that he has these things that God has laid out that will happen. And by us coming in and aligning ourselves with that vision and plan, that now you guys are forgiving us and allow us to come back in, shows that that's really your heart and the heart of Israel and the Jewish people. And I am very, very appreciative of that you guys, because honestly, I don't know how you would be able to forgive those awful things that were done, or to be able to say that we can come and be here from the things that have happened in the past. So I just wanted to say that I really appreciate your forgiveness and the forgiveness that we've felt from so many Jewish people here in the land of Israel that have allowed us as a nation and as a Christian community who've done so much harm to actually be able to come back and partner with you guys and to actually, as those actions that were done in the past that were so wrong, to now take actions and do good. I'm just very, very thankful for the opportunity to come in and to be able to do that. So thank you, Rabbi Yonadav, for allowing me and us and all the volunteers that have come with Hayivel and people that have connected to be able to do that. Thank you. All right, so our last question, we've got a few more minutes here. We have one more question here as we continue on this Torah portion and the story here. Yakov moves on, and then we see some really sad things take place. We have Rachel, who is giving birth to Benjamin, and she ends up dying. And so this is like a really difficult, like anticlimactic, really hard thing that's happening here. We have Yaakov, he's got away from Laban. He's got away from Esau. He's coming to the land. All of a sudden, he has all this trouble in Shechem. And then now his wife that he loves so much dies as he's coming into the land of Israel. And it's just, I don't know, it seems kind of strange looking at it. It's like, well, how come, and like, it seems like God would be blessing Yaakov as he's coming into the land with long life and lots of blessing, but it seems like it's just been hardship all the way through up until now. And so, which I guess getting down to the root question here, Rabbi Yonadav, is, so why is God allowing all these bad things to happen? But specifically, why did God allow Rachel, this wife that Yaakov loves so much, why did God allow her to die?
Okay. Like we said in the beginning, this portion teach us the complexity of this world. And why did Rachel died? Because she stole the idols of Lavan, right? And when Lavan reached Yaakov,
Right.
Yaakov said, the one who you will find your gods with him will not be alive, will not stay alive. He did not know that Rachel stole the idols, but his words are very strong in the reality. And now we can, first of all, we can criticize what Rachel did. Did it was right to take the idols of Lavan? What do you think? Did Lavan stop worship idols because Rachel stole them? No. So that's not the lot of the confrontation to stole the idols. You have to teach him. You have to explain him. That will not help to stole his idols. So this is one step. We can criticize. But even if we don't want to criticize, even if we want to say that she did something good, okay, but like we said, when you confront the reality in such complex a step, there is price. There is price. And you did not tell your husband you stole the idols. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. So he cursed the one who stole. He did not think that one of his family can do something like that. He wouldn't curse his wife or even one of his sons. But even if you think there is good side in this behavior, okay, but you have to know that there is price. You have to think if you prefer the result of stole the idols with the bad result of stealing. So it's very, very difficult. Rachel decided to steal the idols. Maybe she did not raise on her mind the result of this stole, and maybe she had the readiness to die for that. I don't know, but that's problem. We have very you talked about. I want to talk about something very, very sensitive. You talk about our forgiveness. Look, for us, it's very problematic to accept Christians. What's the position of their faith? Is that good? Is that bad? But on the other hand, we know that the prophet says the nations will come and we have to accept them. We have to be their friends. So maybe we have also price on this behavior. But we believe that we should behave like that, accept you are guests, you as our guests. But on the other hand, we have to discuss the right faith. What is good and what is bad? How can you improve your understanding? It's very complex. It's the world is not complete. Completion. We have to try to deal with in the right way, with the gentle balance.
Yeah, that's really good. Thank you so much, Rabbi Yonadav, for sharing. I think we've run out of time now, so probably need to wrap it up, but it's been a great study here. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and these insights into the Torah portion this week. And thank you, all of you guys who are listening. If you've got something out of this week's program, please share, like, subscribe, do all those things, and send us feedback. You can send me an email at Zach, that's Z-A-C, at hayovel.com. Would love to hear from you guys and what you're hearing and what you're learning, and also what your insights are into the Torah portion. Let us know what you're thinking. And thank you guys for joining us today. May the Lord bless you as you continue embracing the everlasting truths of God's holy word. Shabbat Shalom from the beautiful, exceedingly good land of Israel.